Welcome into the Cowboys Report here once again from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. We've got some Cowboys Combine draft meeting notes we'll get to here, a long list of names. But I want to begin with the big rumor out there in Cowboys world. I'd say more on the Twitter streets, if you will. The claim has been a couple different reports saying that the Cowboys have been working on something big at this point. So I spent a good amount of last night trying to figure out what's going on, what other people are hearing here in Indy. I'll lead by saying it's March, never say never, and I do believe the Cowboys are going to try very hard to acquire a new playmaker slash wide receiver. Free agent market's not great at wide receiver. Trade market is quiet for now. Draft, of course, there would potentially be options, but in terms of actually doing something big, making the big splash, whatever it is, my expectations remain very low at this point. Because it's the Cowboys. They don't do anything big anymore. Also, I don't think there is much traction at this point to make something big happen. Stephen Jones actually left the Combine. I believe he's either back today or coming back today / tomorrow. Had an appointment in Dallas, so he left. He's going to come back. Jerry Jones was late getting in. He either gets in today or tomorrow, so and they're just not here at this point. And, of course, they don't do big things anymore. That's not what this Cowboys organization does. They're not the aggressive, gung-ho, get big stuff done at this point. I did chat with others around the league here, various different people about, okay, what's going on here? Something big. Is there anything to this? We've got some theories we'll get to here in a little bit, but others around the league are not sold. They're not sold that something big is happening for some of the reasons I mentioned. It's not what the Cowboys do, and those who are more plugged in than me haven't heard anything on that front in terms of something big actually going down. I have some ideas. I have some theories I've floated around different people that we'll break down here in a little bit, so we'll get to some of those interesting ideas for the Cowboys here momentarily, so stick around after this question on today's show. Will the Cowboys actually do something big? Will they break their trend in recent years? You can sound off for me in the pinned comments of today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it and be honest with me. Why for yes and for no will the Cowboys do something big at today's pinned comment? Let's hit some of the theories here of what it could be. Number one is Jalen Ramsey, a potential trade there. This one I floated out got a little bit more nah, it's not going to happen. And there are some good reasons for that. Although it would fix your cornerback problem overnight. A Diggs and Ramsey tandem is an awesome idea to have together there. I think there is still some bad blood between Ramsey, between Jerry, and it does sound like Ramsey would want a new deal as well, or at least would be asking for a new deal. So you're moving premium draft capital, premium actual money capital for a corner. I would love it. It'd be fun because Ramsey's a fun football player. He'd give you some more defensive impact there. I don't think that's a very likely outcome there. All right, DeAndre Hopkins is next up here. And of the ones that were after, like, oh, that one could make some sense was the general feeling there. But again, I don't think this. I don't know if there's something big is going to happen. Hopkins was a popular guest, and I get it. Yeah, you have a glaring need at wide receiver. The one spot the Cowboys have been aggressive at in the past is the wide receiver position to go acquire talent and help at that position. It does sound like you could get him for maybe a second-round pick. I would have interest. He'd want a new deal. Could be an issue with Lamb coming in there too. If there is something big, which at this point, I don't think there's anything close at minimum. Not sure how much there really is going on there. Hopkins is the one that kind of stands out as a logical potential option because of their need at wide receiver and because of their interest in the past. So I want you guys to have some trade fun for me. Name a player in the comment section who you want the Dallas Cowboys to go trade for. Let me know in the comment section. The third option would be Odell Beckham Jr., which I don't really think qualifies as something big, but I do think is something big for the Cowboys organization. We know how badly Jerry wanted OBJ in the first place, how desperately they wanted to acquire him during free agency, or I should say during the season, but he wasn't ready medically. I don't think there's anything imminent on this front either. Frankly, I think it's kind of died down a pretty good amount. That could change come closer to the start of real free agency, but I think the medical results were not what the Cowboys were hoping for. They were looking for something to help them right this second. Now they're going to take maybe a bit of a longer-term approach. So the OBJ to Dallas buzz, I think, has really quieted down, really since – and I really should say hasn't re-upped itself the way maybe I thought it was going to. Still pretty quiet on that front. So those are 3 options. There are plenty of other, I suppose, possible ones. It's not going to be Amari. No, come on. I would say expectations remain low. I kind of don't think something big ends up getting done because I have to see it to believe it, and we haven't seen it in a very long time. Now, if you guys want more Cowboys videos from the Combine and more, we've been posting some clips of various player interviews. About to break down a lot of draft interviews the Cowboys have had of late. So if you want more updates, hit that subscribe button right now. A long list of Cowboys Combine meetings. So we'll spend some time on this. I think I got the name right. Daiyon Henley, the Washington State linebacker, who a bit of an undersized, speedier player. He's one of the official meetings. The official visits are more like, hey, you get in the room with, in this case for defense, it's been Dan Quinn leading the charge on that front. They've been in there with him, meeting, having the conversations, and Quinn's been kind of leading charge on that. The offensive staff is not here. Although we haven't met with offensive players at the Combine, so we'll do another update on the Combine side there. DeMarvion Overshown, the Texas linebacker. Interesting, both the linebackers that we know of. I couldn't get to every player at the Combine. We got to a bunch of them. Asked them if they met with the Cowboys. 2 of the more athletic coverage speed linebackers than like your throwback thumpers there. A couple of edge rushers here. Derick Hall out of Auburn, and we'll group together Felix and Udike Uzama out of Kansas State. I think those are probably more day 2 options if one of them slide. I don't think edge is really that big of a number or that big of a priority for this Cowboys team that they have right now on the roster. But I will make note they interview a lot of people at the Combine, formally and informally. More on that in a little bit. So just because you met the player at the Combine doesn't mean you're going to draft him. And more often than not, they can use the Combine to get some background info and or weed out some of their other options. One name they met with, LSU defensive back Jay Ward. Wanted to briefly mention him because we're going to break down a long list of cornerbacks of notes that the Cowboys met with, plus some intriguing safety options. So wanted to make note of Jay Ward. But when it comes to the draft for the Cowboys, who do you want them to take? Let me know in the comments section. No wrong answers. Obviously, this list is all defensive players. Producer Sam here goes Bryce Young. Yeah, he ain't going to be there. But let me know who you want the Cowboys to draft in this year's 2023 NFL draft class. Also, probably not going to be there is Joey Porter Jr. But JPJ did speak with the Cowboys Combine meeting there. I would love Joey Porter Jr. I think he's going to go top 15, top 20. So unless you're trading up, not going to get him. Now, Keely Ringo out of Georgia, I think will be there at the back end of round 1. Really intriguing upside prospect. You got the size, the length, the speed that Dan Quinn's going to love. But he has some technique issues, needs work there. A very boom or bust prospect. He strikes me as a classic second-round Cowboys pick. Devin Witherspoon is next up here. Now, Witherspoon had a very long day today at the Combine. He was supposed to be with media at 11:30 Eastern. Didn't really until about 2:15. He got delayed due to medical stuff like some other players had been. Eventually, we did get to talk with him, and he said he met with the Cowboys. Formal interview there. Went pretty well. Although, to be fair, no one's ever told me an interview's gone poorly. Well, actually, the Florida guy a few years ago, remember his name, Sam? The edge rusher, not Jabari Zuniga. I'll remember it eventually. It was the other edge. Sam's gonna look it up here. He said interviews didn't go well, and then he didn't go well because he didn't do well. Yes, Ja'Kai Polite. Thank you, Sam. That's who it was who said they picked on him, and then he went from first round to like round 3. Anyway, I got off track there. Witherspoon, one of them. Manuel Forbes, one of them as well. Seems like he's met with like everybody, so not too surprised by that one. Forbes is very skinny, but man, he is a hell of an athlete. He is a hell of a ball skill playmaker guy. It'd be a fun fit with Trayvon Diggs. If you want turnovers, those are your 2. 2 safeties here. J.L. Skinner, who is going to not be able to work out due to a torn pec. This does not surprise me at all that this was a workout or a meeting for the Cowboys. Boise, We know how much they love those guys, and he's super tall. He's 6'4", or at least that's what he's listed at. We'll see what he checks in at tomorrow. So that's a perfect Dan Quinn safety right there. And then one of my guys who I don't think he's going to be there, but oh, wouldn't it be nice, Brian Branch, the Alabama safety, who I think is a fantastic football player, and I do not think gets to you in round one, much like Porter Jr. and Devin Witherspoon. Not sure he's going to be there. The Cowboys clearly have an interest in corners. I didn't get a chance to talk to guys like Deonte Banks, etc. Willing to bet they're on the Cowboys meeting list as well. If your corner could go early on, except for maybe Clark Phillips because he's so small, I think Cowboys have real interest in you. They have a need. It's not a huge surprise. The corners have been a big focal point for this Cowboys team at the Combine, and who can blame them? They certainly need help. I do want to mention, by the way, some informal meetings. Now, the difference here is the formal ones are structured, they're timed, they're going to often do weird stuff. The Bears, for example, have been having some of their guys throw darts or play darts and do mini golf, which is they're just testing competitiveness. I think some hand-eye, too, which is kind of funny. Cowboys more the film, throw it up there, break it down for us, test the football IQ. But the informal is more like kind of a meet and greet, and boils down to sometimes just getting information to set something up later, or the regional scouts getting background info that they need for whatever reason. So those guys are Julius Brents, Kansas State cornerback. He fits the Dan Quinn mold, long and fast. Darius Rush, who had some high praise for Trayvon Diggs, that he kind of models his game on him. Other defensive backs, Miles Brook, Mekhi Garner, Trey Dean. Deshaun Wright's brother, Rajon Wright, by the way, was an informal meeting. Byron Young and Gervon Dexter, also all informal. Dexter had a pretty good combine. As we started filming this, the D linemen just did all their drills, the interior guys. And I did talk to Elijah Cansey. A lot of the guys, at times, don't remember who they met with because it is a whirlwind for them. They'll have 5 meetings in a row, and at the end of the day, after they've been doing other stuff. So you almost have to ask them specifically for them to actually remember. And Cansey couldn't remember, unfortunately. But we're going to have more Cowboys Combine coverage for you here, and I'll be posting things on my Twitter as well. Those informal meetings, formal meeting stuff were posted on my Twitter immediately, but I'm just kind of running around. I did mention Rajon Wright. Thank you, Sam. Nice try. Hit me up on Twitter for more Cowboys Combine updates at WhatGoingDowney.